Welcome to QI for the J-Series Christmas special, which is, of course, called Jingle Bells. And just look at my lovely, shiny baubles. The sparkling Danny Baker. The twinkling Sarah Millican. Yay! The glittering Phill Jupitus. And... he's fallen off the tree, Alan Davies. So, jingle your bells, please. Sarah goes. Danny goes. Lovely. Phill goes. Wow. And Alan goes.
The bells! The bells!
Very good. So, now, first question. It's a musical question. Where did Beethoven put his jingling Johnny? Yes, Sarah.
Mrs. Beethoven.
Jingling Johnny.
Yes.
I can't imagine a jingling Johnny, and it's something that the good folk at Durex have obviously missed out on. A seasonal range. But actually, you know, with a bell in the...
Holly round it.
Yeah. Nice.
I'll take that copy of 50 Shades of Grey away from you.
We've started our family Christmas show.
Yes.
Merry Christmas. Is jingling
Tiny
Johnny,
tin.
what might it be?
A triangle?
Well, you're in the right area.
Ah.
It's an instrument. Other composers, Haydn's 100th Symphony uses a jingling Johnny. Berlioz was extremely fond of them, as was John Philip Sousa. And I even have one.
Oh. The cowbell.
It's rather more complex than that. It's this.
Wow.
That is a jingling Johnny. It's a large...
That'd make your eyes water,
Yeah,
wouldn't
look, you were supposed to not bring any props from The Hobbit back. Seriously, I could see you could go to Stonehenge next summer solstice and you could own the joint with that.
It was used as a marching... you up and down with a march. Up and down. That's it, yeah. The army that used these began with J and has a connection with Vienna, the Siege of Vienna. If that means anything historically to you.
As opposed to, the feeling has got only you and I, this means nothing to me. Oh, Vienna.
It's not Ultravox, it's earlier than that, Vienna.
Very good popular culture, remember.
It's good that I should know that. I don't know I knew that either. Between Vienna and the East, the whole of that part of Eastern Europe was owned by an empire.
Ottoman Empire?
The Ottoman Empire. And their elite corps was called Janissaries. The Janissaries used these as they marched. And Beethoven used it in one of his most famous compositions, 9th Symphony, the Choral Symphony. He uses a jingling Johnny. And Hector Berlioz, one of the great French composers, claimed that the shaking of its sonorous locks added brilliancy to marching music.
Ah, I believe that it was later taken up, wasn't it, by on the X Factor? Is how they
But you're a boy, make a big noise. Take it away. It's compulsive.
From you.
Yeah.
It's the Casio of its day.
It is. There are other...
Casio.
there are other instruments of this nature. Buskers make their own versions. There's a thing called the lagerphone. It's an Australian version where the ringing noise is made by, can you guess?
Lager.
Crowns, the crowns of bottle tops. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
There are other names for it in other languages, obviously. The Dutch have the kutepeel and the monkey stick. And in Newfoundland, they actually have something called the ugly stick, oddly enough. The bum bass and the bladder fiddle, which are versions that have a string attached.
If you'd like me just to show you the majesty of Baker, name a 70s single that harnessed one of those instruments.
Pterodactyl and a Dinosaur's Seaside Shuffle.
Ladies and gentlemen, Danny Baker. Wow!
like being in the room with Max Planck and Einstein while they're talking. Which instrument was it?
It was, they used the zobstick, which
Yeah.
was what they called it, which was the bottle toppy.
Yes, they did. Riding on the-
You guys. But anyway, that was the Jingling Johnny. So, moving on. How long does the minute waltz last?
You see, this
Yeah,
show's
the
been
double
on for
bluff.
10 years
The
now.
double bluff.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it?
60 seconds.
No!
What a shame.
It is a shame. It ought to be one of those which are double bluffs, isn't it?
Is it going to be 61 seconds?
Yeah,
No.
like a big S dozen. Is it going to be like that? Like 70
No, it
seconds?
isn't
Just
that.
a bit more.
It's...
Christmas!
You
It's Christmas, Mr. Scrooge.
We're
Come on. Be of good cheer.
I'm sorry, Sarah Cratchit. You've got to stay in. No, the fact is...
An hour.
Well, fortnight. I like that.
Ages.
No, it's almost my fault, except it isn't. It is universally accepted that it's called the minute waltz. But...
It's actually the minute waltz.
Yes.
Oh, the points are
minute
back.
waltz. It was originally called by... Who wrote it, by the way?
Phil, who wrote that?
Would you like to hear a piece of it? They might give you a hint.
Chopin.
Very good. Chopin. It's Frederick Chopin. Everyone calls it the minute waltz, but it was actually called the minute waltz, the tiny waltz, because it was originally called the little dog waltz. It was inspired by watching a little dog chasing its own tail. And he wrote the piece. And you can play it in 60 seconds. If you do so, it's almost inaudible. It would be an act of great virtuosity. Liberace cut out what he called the boring bits and played it in 37 seconds. But generally speaking, it takes quite a lot longer than a minute to play it. But there is a Guinness record for the fastest pianist. The greatest number of notes played in a minute.
700.
700?
Yeah.
700 in a minute. Yeah. Bloody hell. Yeah, that would be... It'd be a good Morse coder, wouldn't it?
10 fingers.
No, with one finger. This is played with one finger.
Oh.
9.
It's 498. 498 notes in 1 minute, with one finger on one note. His name was Balázs Havasi. He was Hungarian.
Imagine if he'd had the other 9 fingers, what he could have done.
I bet Mrs. Balassi was delighted.
God bless us,
Everyone! Chopin, as it happened, was one of those people. It's common among sportsmen, I believe. Boxing managers and rowing coaches always recommend that before the day of an important race or fight, you do not release your precious fluid.
Yes.
If you're male. And Chopin believed that. He thought ejaculation weakened the creative impulse. He died of TB, he died of consumption, and in his last days he coughed blood onto the piano keys. It was one of the great romantic images. He was Polish, of course, but spent most of his time in Paris. His lover, whose name was?
Dave.
George, sorry. But she was a woman.
She was a woman.
Georges Sand, yeah, the great French writer. And they had this turbulent and extraordinary affair. And he died very young, but blood on the piano. True. Oscar Wilde said, after playing Chopin, I feel as if I had been weeping over sins that I had never committed. It's rather beautiful. But he is many people's favourite composer because he's so utterly, achingly romantic. Who sang the first advertising jingle, as it's Jingle Bells Day today?
Wasn't it? The
Marconi himself, surely.
Marconi.
What,
Hey,
do you mean
radio, it's the way forward. Hey, pop that hasn't been invented yet, Pickle. This is Marconi.
I was at a party at the BBC and I sat next to Marconi's widow. I have touched the wife of the man who invented radio. That does seem weird, doesn't it? That she was still alive.
Where did you
That she
touch?
might.
No, really. She had been a young girl and he was quite an old man when they married. But nonetheless, it's weird to think that I could have met the inventor of radio's wife. Anyway. But the first jingle wasn't on the radio.
Oh, music hall?
Well, no. The first people ever to sing jingles would have been, as it were, you and me. They were written in newspapers and on pieces of paper with products. There would be the music written out with the words so that you would sing it yourself.
Oh.
So you bought a packet of cigarettes and went, I'm smoking cigarettes, I'm man, whatever. Because this was 20 years before the invention of radio. We're talking about the 1870s and 80s. Of course, a lot of people had little pianos in their front parlours, and they would get round and sing the, you know, the Wrigley's song or whatever it was. And so the first people ever to sing jingles would have been the members of the public themselves.
If you had that von Moltke, there's a wax cylinder of von Moltke, the German general, and it's the only recorded voice of someone born in the 18th century. He was born in 1798. You can hear his voice.
That is extraordinary. Well, I remember I had the good fortune to meet Alistair Cook, the great broadcaster. He said, shake my hand. He said, you're shaking the hand of someone who shook the hand of Bertrand Russell, the philosopher. And I said, wow, that's amazing. He said, oh, no, it's, that's not too strange. He said, what's strange is that Bertrand Russell's aunt danced with Napoleon. So I shook the hands of someone who shook the hands of someone whose aunt danced with Napoleon. It's pretty amazing,
That is something, yeah. Let's go around the table. This hand shook the hand of John Lennon.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's
and to
good.
him. Yeah.
Wow, there we're passing it on.
Louis Spence, I've shook his hand.
You want to go on?
OK.
I'll go on then.
River Phoenix.
River.
Good.
Here we go. Jennifer Lopez.
Coming across here.
Here we go.
Oh, OK.
Alan Davies.
Whoa! You've got it some for sure.
My aunt and uncle are very close to Jesus.
Yes.
So back right off.
But see, today, Jesus is still alive, so that doesn't really count.
Behind you.
Bible!
In front.
And it's his birthday.
But radio jingles, on the other hand, appeared in the 1920s. There's a way, oddly, to get round NBC's rule that you couldn't advertise directly, but what you could do is sing songs which had the sponsor's name in, and the show could even be named after the sponsor. So, like... this is Rudy Vallee, there was a famous performer in his day. He had an NBC show called Fleischmann's Yeast Hour.
Thankfully, that was followed by Perkins' Yoghurt Half Hour.
And it was the Sunshine Vitamin Yeast jingle, was they consider probably one of the very first jingles. Do you use jingles on your show?
I use a vintage one. The Ovaltine is one. Everyone cheers
is
everybody
great
up.
favourite one.
And ones from the early 60s, you know, sorry, mate, you're too late. The best piece went to Pharaohs, which, again, is a beautiful bit of copyright.
All right, hang on a minute. This is just like that. Bum, 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 bum.
So Blue.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I know.
No, the things that stay in your head. Ho, ho, ho. Green giant.
Oh, yeah. Free advertising on the BBC. Oh, there we go.
We're just going to be thigh-deep in paraffin and corn, me and Alan.
Send you all kinds of 3-1s. So now, what is that one for that malt whiskey that I'm subscribed to? No, but anyway, arguably the first jinglist was actually a heretic called Arius. He didn't believe in the Trinity. This may not seem very relevant to us, but at this period, around 324, they had the Council of Nicaea, and his doctrine was formally condemned. But his way of spreading what he believed to be the truth about Christ was in little songs. One was if you want the Logos doctrine, Logos being the word, I can serve hot and hot. God begat him, and before he was begotten, he was not. In other words, Christ didn't exist until his father gave birth to him, which runs counter to Catholic dogma. And so he apparently died. The evidence is the picture in the background of a rectal prolapse. Supposedly...
yes.
Supposedly... That's what we're looking at.
Mooning him in the picture.
What? There, that'll teach you to be heretical.
Yes, don't mess with me or your bum will fall out.
Yeah.
Hi, God here. Heard that jingle the other day. Not so snappy now, is it? Now you're there with your intestines coiled around your ankles. I feel a bit of a dick.
All right. The first jingles were actually written down, so you had to sing the jingle to yourself. But what was Jingle Bells written to celebrate?
The end of a war.
No, it wasn't that.
End of a famine.
No.
The beginning of a famine.
The arrival of the first member of the Ku Klux Klan in Iceland.
It does look a bit like that, a bit, doesn't it?
Christmas.
No, not
One of these days there'll be a double bluff.
There will be. We do have double bluffs concealed within. It was written by a man whose nephew went on to become the richest man in America. I believe.
Rockefeller.
No, J. Pierpont Morgan, the great banker. But his uncle lived in Massachusetts, and in 1857 he wrote a song, and it was to celebrate a winter festival that takes place in America, not
Thanksgiving?
Christmas. Thanksgiving, exactly. And he wrote the song, and its real name was not Jingle Bells, but...
Turkey legs.
Jingle balls.
No, it's a line from the song.
Jungle bells.
It's a line from the song.
Jingle all the way.
One Horse Open Sleigh was the name of the song. It's called One Horse Open Sleigh. And he played it on... Yes, that's the one. And that's right. Yeah, that's right. Your mother will be coming to visit tomorrow. I'm going to sit you in front.
Jingle bells. Batman smell.
Yes. That's the one. Anyway, people loved the tune, and it became a big Christmas hit.
Can I ask a question about the picture?
Yes.
Is the horse bleeding from the eyes?
It does look a bit like it.
It does. It doesn't look well.
It's a rather freely painted mane, isn't it? But there's a happy, frisky dog, and it's a Christmassy scene. But while we're on the subject of songs, what do you think was the first song ever played in space?
Oh, Silent Night.
It wasn't Silent Night. These are the two astronauts who played it. Their names are Walter or Wally Schirra Jr. and Thomas P. Stafford, and they were part of the project before the Apollo project, which is called the Gemini project. And they were on Gemini 6. And this is quite a wicked thing for them to do, given that they were under military orders working for NASA. They smuggled aboard 2 musical instruments, which is quite a lot, because that's payload, you know. The amount of fuel that they use is calculated virtually to the ounce.
2 tubers?
No. That would have been really impressive if you phoned them. It was a church organ and a gamelan. They were at least small enough to smuggle in. But what happened was that
They got the net!
their re-entry was on the 16th of December. As they were working out their angle of re-entry, they sent this message to Houston. They said, Houston, we have an object. Looks like a satellite going from north to south, probably in polar orbit. Looks like he might be going to re-enter soon. You might just let me pick up that thing. I see a command module and 8 smaller modules in front. The pilot of the command module is wearing a red suit. And then they got out what they'd smuggled, which was a harmonica and sleigh bells, and played Jingle Bells. But just for a second, Houston were going, oh my God!
There's something...
We've just...
So he is real then?
Well, I've heard it talked about NASA and practical jokes, but that craft that we sent out into the universe with the big steel...
the Voyager. The
Voyager with the big
Mariner
circular explanations of all life.
Yes, with the disc.
And it's got Chuck Berry on it, and it's got all kinds of things. And the fella said, we also put on, to broadcast out, the shaving a haircut. Literally a sound that goes... And they figure any intelligent life form couldn't leave it there. And one day they're going to get back, and yes!
So there we are. Now, can you explain the Jesus Christ dinosaur hypothesis? Why might you call anything a Jesus something? Amongst the properties of Jesus, if you... just walking on water, that's the one. That's the one. Now, there's a particular kind of dinosaur, a sort of intermediate dinosaur between birds and dinosaurs, 150 million years ago, which in dinosaur terms is quite recent. It was not long before they were all wiped out. There is a picture.
Oh, isn't it beautiful? Like all the dinosaurs.
They are, yeah, they're pretty amazing. Do you know what that one's called, by any chance?
Dave.
One day the answer might be Dave, one day the answer might be blue whale. It's going to be... What I'm looking forward to is when we have a blue whale called Dave and you don't get it. They're called Archaeopteryx. And all the fossils for Archaeopteryx, oddly enough, are found in a place where there was a sea, but there was absolutely no evidence of any trees. Therefore, it seemed very odd as to how they would fly. And there is a suggestion that what they did was they ran on water rather in the way that swans, when they're about to take off. Let's have a look at a swan about to take off. You'll get the idea of what I mean. They sort of like that. It's a beautiful sight. They can really run along the water. And they think that's what the Archaeopteryx might have done. And there are other animals today still exist that are called the Jesus something because they run on water. Can you think of any examples?
Well, there's a lizard.
There's a Jesus lizard. You might want to see a Jesus lizard having a bit of a go.
The Jesus cow.
I would pay big money to see a Jesus cow.
I get one of my own.
How that works is they blow up their own udders really big.
Oh, that's space operas.
There's something very, very Glenn Larson about that, isn't there? But the Jesus lizard can get up to about 20 metres, which is not bad.
Yeah.
Obviously, when they stop, they sink. I mean, so it's all about the fact that they are literally walking, or in their case, running on water. They strike the water, they slap it, and they go through.
What else runs on water?
Well, in Jamaica, there's one that would have been written about by James Bond.
Bob Marley used to run on water.
This one would...
Rita, we're going for a run pond the lake. Hold me chalice while I run on the water.
No woman, no drown. I'm full of cultural references. No, this particular one would have been written about by James Bond. Where did Ian Fleming get the name James Bond?
From notepaper.
No, he had a book. He lived in Jamaica. And he had a selection of books on Jamaica. And there was a book called The Birds of Jamaica by a man called James Bond. Oh. And that's where he got the name for his hero. And so this man, James Bond, would certainly have written about the jacana, which is a Jesus bird. It's also called the Jesus bird for its apparent ability to walk on water as well.
Well, he gets all the credit, and why not, for James Bond, but let's never forget he also wrote Chitty Bang Bang. Ian Fleming wrote Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty Bang Bang.
And a character in that was called Caractacus Potts, which I didn't get for years. I didn't understand that joke for years, Caractacus Potts.
What's the joke?
He was a crackpot. He was an inventor.
Crackpot.
Oh, a crackpot.
Yeah, I know.
Are you a Chitty Bang Bang fan?
I haven't watched it since I was a child, because I think that's when you're supposed to watch it. Yeah.
No, that's girls. You see, little girls grow up to be women, and little boys grow up to be big little boys.
Yeah,
we
we've got too much stuff to do.
Do you have children though?
No.
Ah, well, when you do, then remember.
No.
You plan not to.
There's no when, Stephen.
There's no.
No.
You're not going to adopt a little shiny little baby.
A shiny one? Are they varnished? Can I varnish one?
I don't know. They might be more attractive if they're shiny. It's not my field.
Then Stephen revealed his plans for a child buffing workshop. Where craftsmen will get toddlers to a high sheen. More lacquer, little boy.
You're the shiniest one. We shall put you in Harrod's window.
I'm still alive in here.
Why, I can
Help me!
I can see my face in your face.
You might have changed my mind. I thought they were very matte. I had no idea.
A shiny
Thank
little
you for
baby.
that.
I didn't think that would. Although it's slightly put off by the idea of the child buffing. Thank you so much. Let me take you back now to your childhood and innocence. You remember all those white Christmases? No. No?
Okay. I remember one.
Yeah.
1971.
1970, the January was 71.
There you go.
Christmas itself was 1970. Had you said yes, I would buzz you, because you don't remember any, because you're from the southeast. You might remember a few more, because South Shields has had more. We've actually tried to work out how many white Christmases you've had. We think you might have had them when you were 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 9.
Wow.
Which is actually quite a lot.
That is quite a lot.
Because in the whole of the 20th century, if you lived in London or the southeast, there were only 4 white Christmases. I know. It is extraordinary. And they were in 1927, 1938, 1970 and 1981. As we know, in the 21st century, we've had a few. But what's important about this is that in the early part of the 19th century, Around about 1812 to 1820, there were 8 in a row.
Oh.
Now, why was that important to our culture?
Is that when the song was written?
No.
No.
A certain child was born in 1812. We were
Jesus.
Norman! You really do need a little bit of a religious education. This was an author, a writer, who created the idea.
Charles Dickens.
Okay, Dickens.
Charles
Yeah.
Dickens. For the first 8 years of his life, it always snowed on Christmas Day. And so whenever he mentions Christmas, not just in A Christmas Carol, but in several other novels, it's always snowing. And this helped the myth in British culture of a snowy Christmas. He also lived at a time known as the Little Ice Age. You know this, I'm sure you've seen paintings of fairs on the River Thames.
Yeah.
There were times when the River Thames froze so solidly, they would have fairs, not just fairs, they'd have bonfires on the ice.
Those crazy cockneys.
Yes. they could guarantee...
Light a fire up.
Yeah.
It's freezing.
Let's light a fire on the river on the ice. What could possibly go wrong?
The odd thing is...
It's cold on the ice, isn't it? Yes.
Let's light a fire and drill holes.
But the odd thing is, nothing did go wrong, because it was so thick, the ice. The last Frost Fair, as they were called, was in 1813-14 on the frozen River Thames.
Wow.
But anyway, this century we've had more white Christmases, as we know, but only 4 in the entire 20th century, and only 2 in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
More in Scotland. I'm really being very metrocentric here, and I apologise for that. But that's just the fact of the matter. So describe a typical snowflake.
Six-sided.
No, it is an odd misconception that people have that snowflakes have 2 properties. One is that they're hexagonal, 6-sided.
They're cold. They're made of
No,
snow.
that is true. Yeah. No, I'm talking about the common fallacies.
Oh.
Right, the fallacies are...
Well, try describing a typical snowflake, Stephen.
Yeah. Oh, bless, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to just slap you down. It's like, oh, I feel like puppies run into a mirror. I'm sorry. Another misconception about them is not just they're 6-sided, but that they're always...
Falling from the sky.
No. Those are all accurate.
Symmetrical.
Symmetrical, and they're not, exactly. Yes, they're neither... they can be like this, they can be needle-shaped. Those, I mean, with little square little ends on the end. But the fact is, it's just photographers have found that people are incredibly drawn to beautiful hexagonal ones, and they're the ones that a schoolchild learns about, and they are mistakenly told that that's what all snowflakes are like. So there we are. You can, however, make artificial snowflakes. Now, I'm now going to bamboozle and astound you with my tray of delights. Here we are. It's an ordinary tray. I've got here water, and I have Peruvian cacao. No, stop it. It's just a dry powder called sodium polyacrylate, and it is found in what you might call an ordinary what you might call an ordinary household object. I'm holding up here, for the first time in my life, a nappy. And if I rip this open under the cotton wool, if I just sort of give it a little bit of a rub here, you might just see in my hand there's some of this. Can you see it there?
Yeah.
Yep, some of this powder. And this powder is so extraordinary, it can take on water 200 to 300 times its mass and absorb it, which is why these work so well. And to prove it, here's all this water being poured into here, and you will see it actually... It takes the whole lot in it, like that. All of this here is dry. It's dry and it's cold. It's completely dry. Now, this is incredibly useful. We have a leading company in Britain that does something better than anyone else in the film business, and that is they make, guess what, artificial snow. And the company's name is, not surprisingly, Snow Business. And they make 40, 50, 60 types of different snow this company makes. And one of them uses this same chemical effect. It is rather remarkable. It's completely dry.
That's in nappies.
And that's in nappies. That's what absorbs the amount of...
You see nappies all over beaches and in the ocean. I'm surprised you can't walk to France by now.
It would be like babies would be like the Incredible Hulk and just burst it out of their clothes, wouldn't they?
I agree, it sort of puffs it up a bit, but it stays dry. But did you like your little chemistry lesson?
Lovely.
Oh, hooray, thank you very much. Well, so, anyway, what's the best thing to do with your old Christmas tree? Yes.
I put mine back in the spare room. I do, and it's still fully decorated.
Oh, so you have an artificial one?
Of course.
Oh, I see.
I just unplug it and then put it all in. So in my spare room, it's always Christmas.
Oh. Well, imagine if it was a real tree rather than an artificial one.
Right. Sell it to Africans, because according to Bob Geldof, they don't know when it's Christmas. And you any time as soon as it's here, you wouldn't know. So, here's a tree when you finish with it.
But when you finish with it, it's too late.
It won't be Christmas.
No, they don't know. Do
you know when it's January?
Yeah, but do they know it's Christmas time
lying.
at all? No. And so
compounding the felony. But it's rather pleasing. It's actually possibly the best thing you could think of doing it. Give it to a zoo. There are animals that would love it. In Germany, they do this regularly. In elephants love it. An elephant can have 5 Christmas trees for lunch. 5 Christmas trees. And giraffes, rhinos, a Dresden Zoo, camel, deer, sheep also enjoy it. So before London Zoo writes me a letter saying, what the hell have you done, Stephen? The entire Regent's Park is covered. Ring up the zoo first and ask if they'd like your Christmas tree. But as long as it isn't too covered in hideous bits of silver tinsel and you've got rid of all the nastiness.
How much cuter that elephant would look if it had a little bit of tinsel on it.
Well, it might look cuter, but I don't think it's nutritively valuable for it.
You know what tinsel is? Mirrors for snakes.
Oh.
That's rather sweet. And would you think that your artificial tree is more environmentally friendly, or is a real tree more environmentally friendly?
I would think artificial, but you're probably going to tell me I'm wrong.
No, it has been a moot point, but it's generally now agreed that, in fact, it is better to buy a real tree for the environment. They can be mulched, and if they have their roots, they can be replanted. There is evidence of some chemicals being emitted by plastic ones. Also, conifers have fungi on their roots that support the soil ecosystem, and while they're growing, they support bird life and also improve the soil. So in the end, you're better off buying a real one.
But if I had a real one, I'd still leave it decorated in my spare.
Fair enough.
I can't bear people who do that on Boxing Day. Sometimes you go out Boxing Day or the day after, and there's trees outside people's houses. That's not the spirit.
6th of January. Yes,
there you go.
12th night.
Absolutely. Is it? Is it?
Yes.
Because that's always a perennial argument. It's the 6th, is it?
Yes.
Oh, OK.
Yes.
Because we do it on the 5th, and that's why I've had no luck. But
well, no. Well, is it midnight on the 5th, or is it?
Well, that's what this programme's here for.
Now you've got me worried.
Like well
the chat rooms will be ablaze now. It's the 5th, right.
If you include Christmas night, that's 1.
What? Oh, hell. Oh, God.
26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Bang. Thank you. There you go.
That's the 7th night, then.
I've gone round once.
I've gone round once.
Take
that away. I'll take that away.
Get your socks off. It's the only way he'll believe you.
I think the jury's still out. Anyway, we're going to have a quick fire round now. It's all about Jesus, because it isn't just about eggnog and tinsel. So, fingers on buzzers. What did Jesus' mum call him? Yes?
Shiny.
Shiny. She might have called him Shiny.
Footballs!
Joe Jr.
But closer, basically, yes. There is a name that he had. Jesus, the name that we have called Jesus. That's a Greek version of a Hebrew name, which is also used as a name given to people in Britain.
Dave.
I tell you, I'll give you points if you can tell me why there are so many begats, so-and-so begat, so-and-so begat, until they come to Joseph in the opening Gospels. Who are they trying to prove that Christ was descended from?
Abraham.
Dave!
David.
Yes, David! Yes!
Oh.
That was the answer that would have been
Abraham.
Dave.
Give it to me on a plate. On a plate!
I gave it to you on a plate. Yes, he was descended from David, but his real name was Yeshua, which is, in fact, Joshua. He was Joshua. His name was Yeshua. His mother would have called him Yeshua or Joshua. So that's one. OK, very good. Where is the world's tallest statue of Jesus?
Is it the statue?
Right, the statue height or how high?
The actual, simply, tallest statue of Jesus.
I'm going to guess Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, dear, no, it isn't it? We all know that one, Christopher Dentor, the famous one there.
It's a tall one.
It is. Gosh, it's tall. Don't get me wrong. But
America.
No, there's an even taller one in Bolivia, but that's not the tallest either. The actual tallest one is in Poland.
Oh.
Would you believe? In Swiebodzin, I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. There it is. It's 33 metres tall, 1 metre for each year of Christ's life, plus a 3-metre crown. If the crown wasn't on that, the one in Bolivia would be the tallest. So, now, how many people did Jesus feed at the feeding of the 5,000? Yes, go on.
4,998, because there was a couple were a bit suspicious.
They don't like fish. Oh, no, it gets creeps all scaly. Oh, no. Can I just have toast? Well, nothing for me, then.
I will quote you Matthew 14:21. The number of those who ate was 5,000 men, besides women and children. Oh. So there were a lot more than 5,000. It's the Bible. Yeah. Women get stoned just for looking at people in an odd way. I'm afraid it's not fair or right or just, and I agree with you. It's horrible. It was... I'm with you. It was known as the miracle of the 5 loaves and 2 fishes. However, how many were there at the feeding of the 4,000?
Oh.
4,000 men.
Well, oddly enough, this is a separate one, a separate feeding. Because you've got the 5,000 in Matthew and the 4,000. This one, he fed 4,000 men, plus the women and children again, and that's called the miracle of the 7 loaves and fishes.
Never heard of that. So we stopped 2.
Yeah.
So he was a caterer?
Yes. How many disciples did Jesus have?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Christmas, be nice.
Yeah.
12.
12.
Oh.
No. Again, we look to the Gospel of Luke here. He had 72. He basically had a posse.
Was it just...
He had an entourage.
12 men and the rest were women?
No, after this, the Lord appointed 72... He's got the 12, he appointed 72 others and sent them 2 by 2 ahead of him to every town and place where he was about to go. The 12 most famous of his disciples are, of course, the apostles. OK, now, it's time to pull our Christmas crackers. And we've decided, the jokes are always terrible, aren't they? So we wondered, is it because we tell them the wrong way round? And what you should have is the punchline to the joke, not the joke. We want you to work out the joke from the punchline.
There's no toy.
You had a toy, but you dropped it. It was a paperclip.
Paperclip. Oh, look, I can do an impression. Hang on.
Go on.
Do an impression. Look, I'm in Poland.
Very good. Right. All right, have you found your jokes? Danny?
Mine just says, that's not funny. I don't know if it's a note from the...
Yeah, you have to work out what the joke is.
A limerick. When the government ran out of money and things looked real bleak and not sunny, we all had a bash using these jokes as cash, but the German said, "Ein, that's not funny." Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a
Thank you. It's a lot better than the real joke, which is how many feminists does it take to change a light bulb? That's not funny. Do you know how many Freudians it takes to change a light bulb?
No, go on.
It takes one to screw in the light bulb and the other to hold the cock. Father, ladder! There you go. Anyway, so, Phil, what's your punchline?
My punchline is subordinate clauses.
Wow. What can the joke be?
And the joke is, what is a sadomasochistic Santa Claus's favourite thing?
Oh, well, that's not bad. The real answer is, what do you call Santa's little helpers? Subordinate clauses. Oh. OK, Sarah, your turn. What's your punchline?
My punchline is the Trifle Tower.
You might be able to guess this particular joke. What's the joke?
The only reason I went to bloody Paris.
that would do it. What's tall and wobbly and is in Paris? Is, the
Me, when I went to Paris.
Yeah, oh, no.
Not that tall, actually.
Oh, Alan, we haven't had yours, have we?
Well, mine says that eat, drink and be merry.
Eat, drink and be merry. What do you think the joke is?
What did Jesus' mum do on Christmas Day or something?
No, it's what does a transvestite do on Christmas Day? Eat, drink and be merry. It's a little bit racy for a cracker.
It is
okay,
racy.
here's a punchline. She issues a royal pardon.
Oh, what does the Queen do when she farts?
Yes, it is burps, but I'll accept 5. Here's one, 24 days.
Is that... How many days' worth of chocolate do you eat when you first buy your advent calendar?
It's very close.
Is it?
It's what did the man who stole an advent calendar get? 24 days. Yes.
That's good. Bravo.
All right.
The thing is, I can't actually get these off. I can see everything.
Good. We've got one more punchline. It's very good cold on Boxing Day, too.
Turkey.
No. Remember, a puppy isn't just for Christmas. Oh, that's a bit sick, isn't it? Very good.
What's wrong with you?
Imagine Delia cooking puppies for Christmas.
Well, we've got something different this year.
Anyway, our sleighs have finally hit the buffers, and it remains only for me to try and pick a winner from the wreckage, and it's quite remarkable. The clear winner, with 4 points, Danny Christmas Baker.
Hey, let's ho, 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 ho. Ho, 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 ho. Love us one and all. Love us one and all. Hooray!
And Sarah, whom Jesus didn't feed, did fantastically well, is in second place with -6. Bob Scratchit, writing away at the ledger, shivering with little coal and feeling that it isn't very Christmassy at all, on -32, Phill Jupitus. But with a staggering -38, it's Davies. So that's all from Sarah, Danny, Phill, Alan and me, and a very, very happy and a quite interesting Christmas to you all. Good night.